What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we are going over Trash Deck Thursday. If you're not sure what that is, it's where we take the deck of the week, pair it against something that should beat it. Sadly, I spent about 2 hours trying to find gameplay against Zoro. Nobody was playing Zoro, so I don't have a gameplay for today. But I do have the deck. We do have OP03 Whitebeard, and this is post-ban, so this is without the use of Moby Dick. So it's standard Edward Newgate, and Edward Newgate is a really tough matchup for Zoro, as they do play a little bit more baby characters than they do big characters. Now that does change with Marco, but again, Whitebeard is still a tough matchup just for the factor of it has 6,000 power instead of 5. So they have to invest more Dawn. So we are playing 14 2K counters. We do have 4 Otama, 4 Sanji, 4 Jozu, 4 Makino, and I believe that is the 14, yeah. And then for big beaters, there are 4 Edward Newgate. You want to get this out as consistently as possible because it does give you the 2K buff, putting you to an 8K, and that makes your swing very deadly as your opponent has to drop quite a bit of cards if they want to be able to deflect that. And then we also do play 2 of the Kingdu. This is a 5-drop, 7,000 power. It's just nice because for a 5-drop, you have a 7,000 power swing, and it's a very nice vanilla card. Next, we do have 4 Ace. I still think that Ace is fantastic within the deck because when it comes to Ace being able to be played down, especially versus Zoro, when their cards are sideways, you minus 3K, and it means that you can attack things like Izo or their own Marco and kind of make it work better. And then we do have 3 of the Speed Jill. Now this is a 4-drop, 6,000 power, really good, solid card, and it has a counter. It's just another vanilla. And then we do play 3 of our own Marco. The only reason we're playing 3 is because when it comes to this Whitebeard list, it's very tight on space, but also the Marcos don't do much in any other matchup besides Zoro and Law, because they do play characters that have costs of 3,000 power or less. So definitely play this within Whitebeard, but it's not super mandatory. It is nice to have, but most of the time, in order to bring it back, you are going to be, relying on this Marco, as your life will be at 2 or less most of the time. And so in the factor of it, you can get a blocker back. Most of the time, you won't want to get rid of a event card in order to bring this Marco back, unless you're going for something like lethal. But most of the time, this Marco is always better to bring back, as it can be brought back for any cost. It doesn't have to be a specific event. And then the babyish cards that we are playing are 4 Izo. Izo's just good because it can search out everything, and it can also be pumped up by Makino. So it's a really solid card. And then, as I mentioned before, we do have the Marco. Marco is good, as I said, because it is a 6,000 attack. With 1 Dawn, it is 7,000. It would be a lot better if Moby Dick was still in format, but due to it being banned and the nature of the deck, when it comes down to it, this Marco being a 6,000 attacker that can KO something on play, it is good, but it's not the key factor of the deck. That's why there's only 3. And then for events, for searching, we do have 4 Whitebeard Pirates. This just helps with the consistency aspect, so that way you can continuously search out Whitebeard cards, whether it be counters or looking for counters with Jozu, or looking for cards like Izo, so you can Whitebeard Pirates into Izo, and then Izo can grab you any of the cards you want that can be targeted, and it's just really solid. And then we do have 3 guard point. Guard point is good because there's no condition for the plus 3K, and with Edward Newgate being at 6K itself, the plus 3K means that you'll be at 9K. So if your opponent swings 8, you can block the 9, or you can drop a 1K counter on top of guard point to put yourself at 10. And then because you do take life at the end of the turn with Edward Newgate, you are playing 4 Radical Beam. This is good because if your opponent swings for 9K, you can just Radical Beam, you drop 1 card, and you go to 10K, counter the attack. And it's really good at the end of the game in the late stages. So, as I said, sadly, I don't have a gameplay, but what I do have is the overall picture of the list right here. As I said before, 3 guard point, 4 Whitebeard Pirates. It's a really solid list. I did test this a couple times versus just anything like green and yellow and things. It has a very solid red matchup. It's kind of iffy into ace, but that's just because ace is so consistent. So As far as Zoro goes, it kind of is like the OP2 format where it's just really all about, you know, getting down those big characters, and Zoro has a very tough time dealing with it. And now that Whitebeard has access to an on-play KO, and it doesn't have to be something like Edward Newgate where they KO it, you know, when they swing and things like that, it's really, really solid. So that's all I really want to say. If you guys are trying to beat Zoro, definitely recommend playing this list. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in tomorrow's episode of Final Standings Friday.